Part 9. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 81. Huang Mao walked up to Wen Qiao tremblingly. Sister, let's count it as 2,000 yuan, it won't be more than 2,000 yuan. Take money. Huang Mao spread his hands, we don't have that much cash on us. Wen Qiao took out his mobile phone, I can use WeChat or Alipay. Huang Mao's face fell, Wen Qiao's eyes sternly raised his hand and slapped him on the head, the beating was still gentle. No, 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 sister, I'll give it right now. Wen Qiao raised his chin and looked at Huang Mao, just once in the future, if you let me know that you bully my brother and let me hear you call him a little mute, I will beat your parents until they don't recognize you. I don't dare anymore, sister, I don't dare anymore, I don't dare anymore. After putting away the 2,000 yuan, Wen Qiao said coldly, get out of here. The 5-member vocational high school team quickly ran away. Wen Qiao turned around and walked to Wen Mo. He also had injuries on his face, the corners of his eyes were swollen, and the ends of his eyes were red. He grabbed her and checked her up and down, his eyes full of worry. Wen Qiao had a small cut on her forehead, and blood was oozing out. Wen Mo raised his sleeve to wipe it for her. It's okay, sister. I've set a shortcut key on my phone. If you need anything in the future, call me immediately. Do you hear me? Wen Mo lowered his head, neither nodding nor shaking his head, and his hands were trembling. He felt that he was useless and could not protect his sister, so he always let her stand in front of him. Wen Qiao understood him and knew what he was thinking, and touched his head. Our Xiao Mo will definitely have a big future, but we have to make money for my sister, Wen Mo immediately nodded solemnly. Wen Qiao walked up to Wen Qi again, are you feeling better? Wen Qi gasped, a bunch of grandchildren. She touched his head, if this happens in the future, Xiaobai, you have to call me, you know. Wen Kai's face was covered with sweat and his short hair was soaked, how can I let you stand out as a woman? Wen Qiao glanced at him, you didn't do it lightly or harshly. If you encounter something like this in the future, calm down. Even if you call the police, you can't do it yourself. Do you hear me? Wen Qi gradually calmed down, calling the police seems too cowardly, as if we are afraid of them. Brother Society will never call the police. Brother Society will only use his fists to deal with those bastards who deliberately stir up trouble. Wen Qiao rolled her eyes at him, calling the police is to use legal weapons to protect your legitimate rights and interests. Why are you so timid? The 3 scumbags stared at her, as if they couldn't understand what she was talking about. Wen Qiao was helpless, in short, before your emotional disorder is completely cured, don't do anything with others. Do you hear me? Wen Qi rubbed his messy hair, let's talk. Wen Qiao grabbed Wen Mo and said, let's go home. Only then did Wen Qi see the big motorcycle parked aside, and his eyes suddenly lit up, why is Brother Kai willing to lend you the motorcycle? How? I begged him for a long time to let me ride him for fun, but he refused. Wen Qiao got on the motorcycle, Xiao Mo, get on. Wen Qi wanted to come too, but Wen Qiao glared at him, we'll take the 2 of us and you and Xia Bodinghai will take a taxi back. It's okay for 3 people to squeeze in. Wen Qiao raised his leg to kick him, you think we will be stopped by the traffic police, right? Let's take a taxi. Dinghai and Xiaobai quickly grabbed him, Brother Qi, listen to sister, let's take a taxi. Wen Qiao wanted to put the only helmet on Wen Mo, but Wen Mo refused. He put the helmet on his sister's head, buttoned it for her, and put his hands on her shoulders. Xiao Mo, are you seated? He shook her shoulders and motioned to sit down. A boy ran over not far away. He ran up to Wen Qi out of breath, held his thigh, and took 2 deep breaths, Brother Qi. If you have something to say, Just let it go. When I came here just now, I heard Huang Mao from the vocational high school secretly making a phone call behind a big tree. What did you say? He told the other party that the matter couldn't be done this time because Brother Chi and your sister came and failed to provoke you into being ruthless or something like that. Wen Qiao's pupils suddenly trembled. Someone instigated Huang Mao to deliberately anger Wen Qi? Please vote for recommendation. Can you get me into the top 100? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 82. In the previous life, Wen Qi accidentally maimed one of them. It must have been Huang Mao and his younger brother who deliberately angered Wen Qi. Who is it? Who instigated Huang Mao? Wen Qi kicked the wall, then grandson deliberately angered me. That's what it sounds like to me. Wen Qiao had calmed down and patted Wen Qi on the head. Don't be impulsive in the future to avoid being taken advantage of. Do you understand? It made Wen Qi think twice and said in a low voice that he understood. Wen Qiao started the engine and the motorcycle whirred away from a group of teenagers. Wen Qiao held the motorcycle handle tightly, his eyes hidden in his helmet were sharp and determined. What she suspected was still the Balian Sulu who always pretended to be a pig and eat the tiger. Sulu was determined to trample their family into the mud so that there would be no possibility for them to stand up again. Using a soft knife to sow discord in front of Wen Jianmin. Discredit her. Deliberately angering Wen Qi. Maybe she was still using some method to suppress Xiao Mo where she couldn't see it. It was because she was afraid that they would come back and take away her hard-earned status as the daughter of a high-class socialite. The human heart can be so evil. In this life, she will definitely protect her two younger brothers. As for Sulu, she has two creeds in life, one is give me a peach and I will give you wine in return, and the other is a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. The motorcycle traveled through the tree-lined paths in midsummer, and the evening wind blew on the young man's face. The young man looked worried. When will he be able to protect his sister? Su Yun was cooking in the kitchen, and there was a knock on the door outside. She stretched out her hand to wipe it on her apron, walked to the yard and saw that it was her sister-in-law Hime. She forced a smile and said, "Is something wrong?" Hime carried a few apples and put them on the old elm table in the yard. She pulled Su Yun to sit down and straight to the point, without beating around the bush. "Su Yun, Soleil is your nephew. You are like this for a nephew. The woman has made it clear that she will not get married without a wedding room, so you can't just watch such a good marriage go to waste, can you?" Su Yun clasped her hands, lowered her head, and said nothing. "How about you don't tell that girl and transfer the money to me first? We are borrowing it, it's not like we won't pay it back." Su Yun looked up at her, "Sister-in-law, all the money is in Kiao's hands." He may seem to have heard a joke and immediately jumped up, "That girl is only 19, Su Yun, what can I say about you? Why are you so weak? The financial power of the family has been handed over to a 19-year-old. Aren't you worried about the little girl's movie being cheated on? Why are you so relieved?" Su Yun forced a smile, "Sister-in-law, I'm so sorry." "Then you must know her password. Now it's all online transfers." Su Yun's face darkened, then, "How can that be done?" "Oh, what's wrong? By the way, I'm here today not only to borrow money from you, but also to introduce you to someone." Wen Qiao and the others arrived home at the same time as Wen Qi. While they were still in the alley, they heard voices coming from the yard. The voice sounded like her aunt's voice. As soon as the three siblings entered the yard, Su Yun's heart trembled. Xiao Mo and Xiao Kai's faces were stained with color. There was dried blood on Xiao's forehead. It was obvious that she had fought with someone. "How is this going?" Wen Qiao hugged her mother's shoulders, "It's okay, it's okay. The kid got into trouble with someone." "What's she doing here?" "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 83. After saying that, she nuzzled at her aunt. He Mei said eagerly, "Chiao Chiao, aunt is here to introduce a partner to your mother. Let me show you. She is a boss. She has a small factory in the luggage business. Let me show you the photos. What a talented person." After speaking, he swiped his phone enthusiastically and pulled out a photo. Wen Qiao sneered, "This is called a talented person? Do you want me to do an ophthalmology appointment for my aunt?" Short, fat, and ugly, he really had it all. Su Yun pulled Wen Qiao. He Mei looked like someone who had come before. "You kid, your mother is not a young girl, how can you be so picky? And she also has 3 children. She is rich. That small factory can only take a year. He makes millions and his character is one of the best in a million." Wen Qiao glanced at her aunt coldly. "The conditions are so good, then I will introduce you to Su Ying. It just so happens that this little boss can also lend money to Soleil to buy a house, killing 2 birds with 1 stone." "Wen Qiao, what did you say?" He Mei was so angry that her face turned red. Wen Qiao shrugged, "What did I say wrong? Didn't aunt praise him so much that he was in heaven and on earth? What? If I introduce him to your Su Ying, I would be wronging Su Ying. Just introduce him to my mother." Your mother is divorced and has children. How can she compare with Su Ying?" "Oh, I'm not worthy of your Su Ying, so the little boss is no good either. My mother doesn't like people like that, so I won't bother you to be so kind." "How do you talk, kid? Don't aunt know my temper? If you don't like to hear this, then don't come to my house. You haven't come here for many years. Why do you keep getting into trouble lately? Are you worried about my family's money? Then I'll tell you clearly. No way." He Mei was so angry that her nose was crooked. "Su Yun, look at your daughter. Look at her. She is so well-intentioned that she treats her like a donkey. She really has no conscience." Wen Qiao looked at her with a cold face. "Auntie, do you need me to tell you who has no conscience? For more than 10 years, aunt has avoided our family like a plague. Who has no conscience?" He Mei was afraid of her. This damn girl was so sharp-tongued that no one was her match. "Su Yun, think about it carefully. They all know the basics and are very honest. Besides, you should pay attention to that matter, you know." Seeing Wen Qiao's ugly face, he dropped these words and ran away in a hurry. Su Yun looked at Wen Qiao. She is also an elder after all. You can't do this in the future, do you understand? I recognize an elder like Uncle Ji, but I don't recognize an elder like her. Mom, I am a person who distinguishes between good and bad. I don't want to be a bad person. Good people and bad people are all treated equally. Will good people feel cold? Mom doesn't blame you, I just want you to not speak so fiercely. You will also be a member of society in the future, talking to your colleagues or leaders. I have a sense of propriety. I say whatever I say on any occasion. Mom, don't worry." Su Yun pulled Wen Qiao into the room and said, "Qiao Qiao, otherwise, you, lend less money to your uncle." Wen Qiao cried out, "Mom." The voice was trembling. Su Yun felt that she had made her unhappy, and said cautiously, Your aunt said that the woman did not have a wedding room there and did not agree to the marriage, so, then after all." "After all what?" "After all, he is also my uncle and my cousin." Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 84. Mom, you have a bad memory, let me reminisce for you. 11 years ago, Our family was desperate. It was winter, and we stayed at their house for 3 days. When Xiao Mo was eating, he accidentally broke a bowl, and his aunt scolded him. Silence for how long? I was cursing and cursing all night long. My uncle, did he give any advice to my aunt? Did he say something to us? Don't you even remember what Xiao Mo is afraid of? It was still snowing outside the next morning, and I was the one who dragged you out. Even if we froze to death on the street, we wouldn't be affected by it. For 11 years, their family has avoided us like the plague. I won't lend them money. First, because Xiao Mo and Xiao Qi asked for money for medical treatment. Second, I will always remember the humiliation that family put me through. Mom, you said I love to hold grudges and I admit it. I just want to remember that it is not good for me. I can never repay kindness with kindness. Su Yun murmured, I'm sorry, Chiao, mother shouldn't be soft-hearted. When Chiao sat in front of the desk blankly, his chest was severely congested, his eyes were sore, and he said in a muffled voice, Mom, I'm a little tired. I may have spoken out of turn. Please leave me alone for a while, okay? After only 2 days away, Wen Qiao began to miss Fu Nanli again. Because when he was around, she didn't seem to have to fight in person. As long as he was around, she felt inexplicably at ease, as if she didn't have to worry even if the sky fell. Dependence creates inertia. She felt a little cold in her heart, and the coldness spread to her palms. She hugged her knees and tried to calm her inner emotions. She told herself over and over again that she could not rely on others and was not qualified to rely on others. Wen Qiao, everything still depends on you. His video call came in the evening. It was early morning over there, and he was drinking coffee in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He was wearing a suit and an aviation badge on his chest. Su Shen seemed to be sorting out information beside him. Why, are you hurt? His hand instinctively reached out, as if he wanted to touch her forehead. It wasn't until he encountered the cold screen that he came back to his senses. The person was not in front of him, but on the other side of the screen tens of thousands of kilometers away. When Qiao touched the wound nonchalantly, it's nothing, I did it accidentally. He took a sip of coffee and said in a low voice, do you need me to send you a bodyguard? Wen Qiao trembled, huh? No. No need. It wasn't caused by a fight. I accidentally hit the door. There happened to be a barb on the door, which opened a small hole. The bodyguards were following her around the clock, so she wouldn't have revealed her secret earlier. Su Shen put a stack of information in his hand. You are busy with work, right? Then I won't disturb you. The meeting is in 20 minutes. It's in the hall opposite. It's a 5-minute walk. It's about the International Aviation Union. It means, I have 10 minutes left to chat with you. When Qiao would misunderstand, then you're busy, I'll hang up. After saying that, he hung up immediately. Fu Nanli's hand holding the phone paused in the air and glanced at Su Shen. Su Shen, who was sorting out the information, stopped and said, Captain, am I disturbing your conversation? So you know? So you did it on purpose? Su Shen. I just realized it. How could I do it on purpose? The man had already stood up and walked out. Su Shen hurriedly followed behind with a pile of information. Captain, I really didn't mean it. I think you and Xiao Wen are a perfect match. I sincerely wish you both the best. Please vote for recommendation. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 85. At the dinner table, Wen Qi stared at his mobile phone and suddenly shouted. Wen Qiao lightly tooted, you scared me, what are you doing? A message to all members from our teacher. What's wrong? Wimmer won the award. Wen Qiao and Su Yun quickly went over to look at his mobile phone, Math Olympiad. Well, I won the championship. What size competition is it, district-wide or city-wide? Nationwide. Wen Qiao was surprised and turned to look at Wen Mo. Wen Mo looked a little shy and looked at Wen Qiao with a smile. Wen Qiao hugged his head. Are we, Xiao Mo, so powerful? It seems that Xiao Mo didn't win any mathematical Olympiad championship in her previous life. Is it because after her rebirth, her life trajectory changed? Xiao Mo didn't have any worries, so he focused more on his studies. Very good. Everything is slowly getting better. Wen Mo patted his sister on the back. Wen Qiao let go of him and rubbed his face again. Xiao Mo is awesome. Su Yun was so excited that she wiped her hands and picked up her phone to look at it carefully. The teacher also said that there is an awards ceremony. It will be tomorrow night. Wen Mo nodded. Oh, do we, Xiao Mo, have formal attire? I don't think so. Wen Qiao, I'll take him to the mall to buy a set tomorrow. The copyright fee was 300,000, and she won another 300,000 from Fu Nanli's cousins, and another 2 million from Wen Jianmin. She was not short of money now. Okay. The Wen family was watching TV after dinner. When they tuned into the local lifestyle channel, something about the mathematical Olympiad was being broadcast. The subtitles below showed that a student from number 9 middle school had won the National Mathematical Olympiad competition. The reporter is interviewing the student's class teacher. Yes, it was Wen Mo from our class who won the National Mathematical Olympiad. The faces of the 4 people sitting on the sofa all darkened. Sulu's face was horribly gloomy. She had been oppressed by the family over there recently and had no chance to breathe. It's irritating that Wen Qi didn't succeed. He tried to prove Wen Qiao's sexual behavior but failed and was tricked. Uncle Wen's attitude towards her has been much worse recently. Now that crazy little mute actually won the Mathematical Olympiad Championship. A bad year. Wen Jianmin's face was the ugliest, and he quickly reached out to adjust the channel, feeling mixed emotions in his heart. Zhonghui said hurriedly, "We, Lulu, have just won the piano competition award before, and the level is no worse than this or some mathematical Olympiad competition." Wen Jianmin said but his expression did not soften. Zhonghui understands that no matter how well Jianmin treats Lulu, Lulu is also someone else's daughter. No matter how good she is, how happy can his stepfather be? What's more, Jianmin seems a little dissatisfied with Lulu these days. Then he said, "Our Xianxian will be in 6th grade next semester and we will also sign up for the Mathematical Olympiad. Jianmin, our Xianxian will get a grand prize when the time comes, no matter how good our grades are. It will definitely make you famous." Wen Xian said loudly, "That's right, Dad, what's so great about the Mathematical Olympiad competition? Our 5th grade students and teachers won't let us sign up. If I sign up, the championship will definitely be mine." Wen Jianmin forced a smile. He knew best what qualifications his son had. Nowadays, in the international school class, his grades are only above average. He is afraid that he is not even qualified to be a finalist in the top competitions like the Mathematical Olympiad, which gathers the best children from all over the country. That's it, the talented madman and the mediocre normal kid. He chose a mediocre, normal kid, which might not make him look good, but at least it wouldn't make him embarrassed and make him the laughing stock and talk of others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 86. Late at night, Sulu made a phone call. "Are you a reporter from Xinmin Daily?" "Who are you?" "Don't worry about who I am, let me break the news for you. Tomorrow, there will be a Youth Mathematical Olympiad award ceremony at the Municipal Cultural Center. The winner of the championship is very special. What a special method! He is an autistic person who cannot speak, but he can win the National Mathematical Olympiad Championship. This may become a breaking point and make your Zinman daily headlines. Whether you want to be interviewed or not is up to you. The other end quickly thanked her for the revelation. Sulu called several media outlets in succession. The next day, the Mathematical Olympiad Award ceremony was held in the oil painting hall of the Municipal Cultural Center. Because Wenmo didn't want to speak but was very talented, Wenmo's head teacher always took good care of Wenmo. Suyun was extremely grateful to her head teacher. The four of them were sitting in the first row. Suyun held Wenmo's hand and whispered, "I will go on stage to receive the award in a moment. You can just say thank you. Just say thank you, okay?" Wen Xiao clicked his tongue, "Mom, don't force him." He turned to Wen Mo and said, "Xiao Mo, you don't need to speak. When you go up to receive the award, just bow to everyone." Wen Mo struggled a little, clenched his fingers and said nothing. Seeing the painful expression on his face as he struggled with himself, Wen Xiao couldn't help but feel distressed, and touched his head. "No one will force you to speak, just be yourself." Finally it was Wen Mo's turn to go on stage to receive the award. Wen Xiao shook his hand, "No need to speak, just bow." Although Wen Mo is only 15 years old, he is already close to 180. Today he is wearing a suit again. The young man walks to the podium step by step under the lights. He is outstanding and handsome. Wen Xiao's eyes heated up and he looked at the young man on the stage with a smile. The awarding guest was Mr. Zhao Mingde, a well-known domestic mathematician. The gray-haired Mr. Zhao couldn't hide his excitement. "This is our mathematical Olympiad champion, classmate Wen Mo. The most commendable thing is that he achieved a perfect score." Mr. Zhao solemnly handed the certificate of honor and the trophy to Wen Mo, and then pointed to Li Mai aside, indicating that he would give an acceptance speech. The young man from Qingjun stood on the stage. The lights were very dazzling. He was in a trance, nervous, uneasy and at a loss. All the emotions came over him like a tide. He was not used to being looked at by so many people. Those people's eyes were obviously kind. Yes, but in his eyes, he looked particularly hateful. He even felt a little suffocated. He still couldn't get over that hurdle. Digging the trophy with his fingers, his nails turned white. He could hear his own heartbeat, which was very loud. Wen Xiao immediately noticed Xiao Mo's uneasiness and took the lead in applauding. The runner-up and third runner-up on the stage often participated in competitions with Wen Mo. Knowing that he was unwilling to speak, he walked to him in good faith. The second runner-up was a girl. Took the Li Mai and said thank you everyone. Then he took Wen Mo's hand and the three of them bowed to everyone together. There was thunderous applause in the hall. Wen Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao Mo's classmates were all good kids and took good care of him. Wen Mo walked down the stage step by step accompanied by applause and flowers. Wen Jianmin was sitting in his office and couldn't help but click on the school's homepage. There was a live broadcast. The traffic was very small, not many people followed him, there were no media visitors, and there were only dozens of messages, all praising Wen Mo's longevity. She must be good looking, and a top student, so the little girls are sending flowers like crazy in the barrage. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 87. Wen Jianmin looked at the child under the light, feeling a little annoyed. He turned down his cell phone, got up and left the office upset. When Wen Mo came off the stage, several of his classmates swarmed up to him, ruffling his hair and touching his trophy, all congratulating him. Wen Mo's smile was a little shy, and he felt a little at a loss. Wen Xiao stepped forward, thanked the classmates for him, and then said, "Lewa Garden, Sister invites you to dinner to celebrate our little Mo. The students were delighted, and a group of people walked out surrounding Mo. When she won 2,500,000 to 80,000 yuan, and he walked like a tiger, as if he had won the grand prize, and he was even more proud than Mo. As soon as we left the cultural center, we saw a large group of reporters suddenly swarming at the door, each with a camera in their hand, flashes coming and going, and microphones poking into Mo's face. Those reporters were like hungry wolves who saw their prey appear, their eyes sparkling. Hello, you are Mo, the Youth Mathematical Olympiad champion, right? I heard you are autistic. May I ask what education is like at your home? May I ask who is your parent? The sound of questioning came one after another, and they were surrounded by water. The flashing lights made Mo unable to open his eyes. Wen Kai's anger was about to explode. Where are you reporters from? Who asked you to come? If you don't want to be interviewed, get out of the way. Wen Qiao put his arms around Mo and shielded him from the reporters who desperately wanted to put the microphone to his mouth. Get out of the way, get out of the way. While holding Mo in her arms, she also told Wen Qi not to have physical conflicts with the reporters. When these unscrupulous reporters take some photos and videos, Wen Qi will be pushed to the forefront. She protected Mo with one hand and held Wen Qi with the other, and walked to the intersection with difficulty. Su Yun stretched out her hand to block the reporters. We are not accepting interviews. I heard that Mo is autistic and can't speak, right? You are a parent, right? How do you educate such an autistic child? Is it particularly difficult to educate this kind of child? Do you suffer a lot as family members? A black Maybach was parked on the side of the road. Fu Nanli thought he had seen it wrong, but he saw that it was Wen Qiao who was being chased by a group of reporters carrying long guns and short cannons. The driver beeped twice, and Wen Qiao saw her savior. Get in the car. Fu Nanli reached out and opened the door. Wen Qiao quickly hugged Mo, pushed aside the reporters crowding around him, and got in the car, followed closely by Su Yun and Wen Qi. Wen Qi sat in the passenger seat, and there were 4 people in the back seat. Wen Qiao squeezed beside Fu Nanli and looked worriedly at Mo, who had his eyes lowered and his body was shaking a little. Xiao Mo, are you okay? Mo said nothing, as if he couldn't hear her voice. The reporters were like zombies surrounding the city, clinging to the car windows. Fu Nanli asked the driver in a deep voice to drive. Master, are you still going to the dinner? Send them back first. Yes. As the car sped along the wide road, Wen Qiao looked at Mo worriedly. Xiao Mo, are you okay? Mo held Wen Qiao's hand tightly, trying to calm down the panic in his heart caused by the sudden influx of people. Not wanting his sister to worry became the only motivation for him to overcome his psychological barriers. He looked up at Wen Qiao and held her hand tightly. Don't take those people seriously, you know. Mo nodded hard. What's wrong with him? His big hand suddenly held her small hand. Wen Qiao was shocked. Her mother was sitting next to her, and she wanted to pull out. The man was so strong that he didn't allow her to retreat and held her hand tightly. Thanks for your support. Please vote for recommendation. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 88. The man was so strong that he didn't allow her to retreat and held her hand tightly. Fortunately, it was dark in the car, and he held her hand hanging by his leg. Mom was worried about Xiao Mo and didn't pay attention to the little movements between them. In the narrow carriage, she was so nervous that her heart jumped into her throat. She turned to look at the man next to her, her eyes hinting at him to let go. At this time, Mr. Fu realized belatedly, what's wrong with him? Wen Qiao could only let him hold her hand and whispered, my brother, who has autism, won the Youth Mathematical Olympiad Championship today and came to attend the award ceremony. I don't know who informed so many reporters. He was frightened. Wen Qiao never felt that there was anything shameful about his two younger brothers' illnesses and would not avoid the topic in a vague way. Fu Nanli nodded. Do you need me to introduce a doctor? No need, we are already receiving treatment, Dr. Chen Yanfei from Phelan Psychological Clinic. Fu Nanli nodded. If you have any difficulties, tell me. Looking up at Wen Qi did a good job controlling his emotions today, almost all within a controllable range. The medicine was indeed useful. She just wondered, since neither the organizer nor the school notified the reporters, how could those reporters know that there would be awards at the cultural center? And obviously those people came straight to Xiao Mo. During the chaos just now, she noticed the logos on the microphones of several media outlets. The one at the front was a reporter from Xinmin Daily. She will find out who broke the news to reporters about her brother's award and autism. 20 minutes later, the car stopped at the entrance of Shuiying Road. Wen Qiao's hand was still wrapped in the man's palm. Even though his fingers were intertwined, he could still feel the ambiguity flowing between them. Su Yun was so confused that she didn't even realize why the driver of this strange man knew their home address. Moreover, she has also been in a wealthy family. She still recognizes this man's car as a Maybach. How could Qiao recognize such a rich man? She didn't have the energy to take care of these problems, she was focused on Xiao Mo. She helped Wen Mo get out of the car. Wen Qiao was about to stand up, but his hand was held by the man. Wen Qiao was a little panicked. He was afraid that his mother would discover the abnormal undercurrent between them. He looked back at him and lowered his voice, "What are you doing? Remember to tell me if you have any difficulties." The dim light on the roadside illuminated his handsome face, and the man's eyes were gentle and lingering. Wen Qiao especially wanted to say to him, "Don't be so nice to me, I don't deserve it." Qiao, why haven't you gotten out of the car yet?" came my mother's voice. "Well, I will tell you if I have any difficulties," she responded hurriedly and got out of the car. The car slowly left. Su Yun then remembered, Qiao, who is that gentleman? Wen Qi put his hands in his trouser pockets and stared at Wen Qiao to see how she deceived her mother. Lu Yuyu's brother takes good care of me. Wen Qi. Suddenly there is such an important brother. Does Lu Yuyu know? Su Yun didn't think much, and the family of four returned home. Wen Qiao comforted Wen Mo again until Wen Mo wrote on his phone, "Sister, I'm really fine, don't worry." Wen Qiao then returned to the room. Hai Mao's music director Song Hao sent her a message, saying that the song she composed and sung by popular niche student Chang Fan had been recorded and planned to be released at the end of the summer vacation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 89. Regarding what happened in the past 2 days, should the composer be signed directly by Wen Qiao or should she use her stage name? Wen Qiao thought for a moment and replied to Song Hao, "The stage name is Mu Yu. She is not Su Lu. She won the International Piano Grand Prix and wished Wen Jianmin could make headlines for her. She has been interviewed by several self-media outlets. The character of the genius piano girl has been on the market for more than half a year. Don't you need your real name? Shang Fan also likes your music very much. I also want to arrange an exclusive interview for you, and I also want to arrange for you and Shang Fan to appear on the show together." No. She wants to be a low-key college student, and since her brother's condition hasn't improved yet, she can't live in the spotlight. Song Hao didn't force her, so he used the stage name Mu Yu. Wen Qiao checked the relevant news of Xinmin Daily online and found that the reporter who caused the most controversy today was called Li Ting. It was not difficult to find Li Ting's phone number. Journalists usually have the habit of recording. Such an unscrupulous reporter, Wen Qiao spent 10,000 yuan to buy the recording of the phone call that broke the news to him. However, the other party used a voice changer to deal with it. Wen Qiao frowned, wishing that the audio had been processed by a voice changer. She had no experience. She remembered the masturbation that had won some online competition before. After searching that Weibo post, I saw that they have a trade union. If you want to join the trade union, you must pass the numerous tests set by the trade union chairman. Wen Qiao calmly overcomes the dazzling procedures one by one. The chairman of the trade union is a foreigner. In the end, he couldn't help but sigh. It only took 4 minutes longer to pass the test than SY. Currently, you are the second in the entire W union. Welcome to join, Bai Zi. Bai Zi, the name of her union, is taken from the ancient mythical beast and is a symbol of auspiciousness. Wen Qiao found the boss with the eucalyptus avatar in the union, SY, and it showed that he was not online. She sent him a message in English, "Can you reverse the transposed audio? If so, please reply to me." The magazine's charity dinner was held at the Hanglong Cultural Center in Qianshui Lake. Almost all the A-list celebrities in the industry were present. The red carpet was star-studded that night, with many hats and fragrant clothes. Almost all the wealthy ladies from Haikan were also present. Just because he heard that Fu Nanli wanted to flatter his aunt, he came to this charity dinner. He Qian drank 2 glasses of wine and glanced at the second floor unconsciously. She knew that there were many small private rooms on the second floor. Some low-key young masters and ladies did not want to socialize with everyone in the atrium, so they stayed in the private rooms. When it came to the auction, they could just ask the assistant to hold up the placards. Fu Nanli's private room is in the middle of the second floor, with a single-sided floor-to-ceiling window. People inside can have a view of the entire atrium, but people outside cannot see the scene inside. Her good friend Su Yuan, daughter of a watch tycoon, held her hand. He Yan went up to the second floor with her brother, probably to Fu Nanli's private room. "Let's go too." The two walked to the spiral staircase, took a look at the VIP invitation letter to the security guard, and went up to the VIP area on the second floor arm in arm. Behind him are the envious eyes of female stars. Su Yuan snorted. He Yan relies on the fact that her brother and Mr. Fu are good friends, always hanging around him, and always making people misunderstand how close she is to Mr. Fu. To be honest, Mr. Fu doesn't pay attention to her at all. She, "Sissy, I like you. I think you are much prettier than He Yan." She spends all her time playing off the intellectual persona, and it's not because of her bad looks. He Qian could only smile bitterly. They didn't know yet that Fu Nanli already had a girlfriend. Not long after he got to the second floor, he heard a lot of movement downstairs. When he looked back, he saw Fu Nanli coming. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 90. All the guests in the audience were eagerly waiting to see what kind of celestial figure the eldest son of the Fu family, who was the captain of the airline company, was like. Unfortunately, there were too many people surrounding him. There were 3 floors on the left and 3 floors on the right. Fu Nanli was wearing a handmade high-end suit, with one hand in his pocket, and walked to the second floor with a stern look. On both sides were his mother Ye Mingqiu and aunt Ye Minchun. When He Qian saw Mrs. Fu, she immediately walked to the wall. Ye Mingqiu still saw her, chuckled lightly, and looked contemptuously. She knew that Mrs. Fu still didn't like her. But Fu Nanli didn't look sideways the whole time and went straight into the private room. Su Yuan encouraged her, "Let's go in too." He Qian shook her head, "I won't go in. Mrs. Fu has a hot temper and is always straightforward. If she doesn't like her, she won't give her face. Why should she go in and humiliate herself?" Just as she was about to go downstairs, someone called her from behind, "Miss He." He Qian turned around, and it was Lin Mingshu who came. Lin Mingshu tried her best to find Wen Qiao's information last time, because she also had the idea of deceiving the amnesiac Fu Nanli, so she could conclude that the little girl named Wen Qiao was definitely evil. However, Mr. Fu didn't know what was going on. After learning that the little girl and the young master of the banker were not clear about each other, not only did he not kick the girl, but they seemed to have a closer relationship. That girl is so charming, she can actually make the always cold-hearted Master Fu so confused. Is something wrong? Lin Mingshu whispered, "I have a few words to say to you. Can you take a step to speak?" He Qian patted Su Yuan's hand, "You go down first, I'll be back soon." In the private room, Yamin Chun patted Fu Nanli on the shoulder, "I have held this charity dinner for 10 years. This is your first time to participate. Why are you suddenly giving me so much face?" "Mrs. Fu asked me to come, and I'm free." Fu Nanli took the wine handed to him by the girl on the side and took a sip. Yamin Chun was so angry that he put his hands on his hips. "Sister, your son's straightforward temper must have been inherited from you." Yamin Kaiu hugged her waist, "He is teasing you. Are you, the person in charge of the dinner, so idle? Hurry up and say hello. The most distinguished guest, Mr. Fu, is here. Who else should I greet?" Okay, why do you still love poverty so much?" It was He Wan's sister He Yan who handed Fu Nanli the wine. He Yan was left out in the cold, feeling a little disappointed. Fu Nanli would occasionally nod to her and smile a little in the past, but why was she colder than before today? His eyes even seemed to say, "I don't know this person." Feel? Is it her imagination? Yamin Kaiu held a tall wine glass and patted Fu Nanli on the shoulder, "Some friends are here too. I'm going out to socialize. You're not allowed to leave early. Do you hear me?" Fu Nanli raised his eyebrows slightly and agreed. As Yamin Kaiu and her sister walked out, they complained, "He is like an ice cube all day long, and he treats me like a woman like gold. I don't understand why so many little girls are infatuated with him. He looks handsome. That's all I think." Fu Nanli drank the bit of tequila at the bottom of the glass in one gulp, and He Wan picked up the wine glass and poured him wine. Uncle Li had taught him about his relationship chart, so he recognized He Wan as his closest friend. "Nan Li, are you planning to take photos of any collections when you come today?" He Yan looked at him with a smile. Fu Nanli held the wine glass, stretched out his index finger, pointed at He Yan, and looked at He Wan. "Who is this?" He Yan's heart sank, and her usually gentle expression became stiff for a moment. He Wan came over and said, "What do you mean? You don't even recognize my sister." "Oh, your sister." Fu Nanli looked calm. "What's wrong with you? There was a car accident before and I forgot something. There is no need to tell the elders, lest they worry." He Wan joked, "Have you lost your memory? Then let me tell you, my sister is your girlfriend. Do you have to accept everything?" Fu Nanli raised his chin slightly and looked at him with squinted eyes. "I already have a girlfriend."